In this lesson, we're going to look at cohesive devices that will be used in IELTS essays. If we firstly look at the band descriptors, the ones on the right here, these are for coherence and cohesion, and that's for a band 7 and a band 6. We can see for a band 6 uses cohesive devices effectively. However, they can be mechanical, which means a bit sort of unnatural. However, if we look at band 7, uses a range of cohesive devices appropriately. So what we're going to look at is the difference between these two in the context of an essay, and to see what you could do to move yourself up from a band 6 to a band 7. This essay is about how the internet has changed the way we communicate, or how we socially interact with each other. It's actually been written by a student rather than myself, so you can see the way a student might use cohesive devices, or in this case of this essay, transition words. I've highlighted the transition words so you can see how they've been used. Now, they have been used effectively because they lead the reader through the essay well. You've got here to begin giving the first idea, another idea here. There's a concluding sentence here for the paragraph. Here, however, is used to flag up we're now talking about the negative effects. There's another idea here. Another result here. For instance, to give an example. Another concluding sentence. And then to sum up, giving the conclusion. And then, in my opinion, to give their opinion. So the writer has used them to good effect, which is, you can see, can get a band 6. However, they could also be seen by the examiner to be a bit mechanical. That's because, or unnatural, that's because they all appear in initial position, or they're sort of words or phrases appearing at the start of every sentence. So we're going to look at how we could potentially improve these to move it up to a band 7 for this criteria. So let's look at how we can begin to change some of these. So we could change this one to make it a bit more interesting. So by doing that, we're still flagging up that it's the first point we're making, the first advantage, but we've also incorporated it to make it into the whole sentence to make it more interesting. And it also has that in, so it's also a complex sentence. We could also change this one. We've changed benefit there just to make it a bit more interesting rather than advantage again, just to vary the language. We also have as a result here, but we don't have to change everything. It's still okay to have some sort of phrases at the beginning of the sentence. We just don't want to have them all the way through. So we'll leave that. So let's go on to however. So we could also make that a bit more interesting. So again, notice how we're varying the language a bit again. We're saying rather than advantages or benefits, we're saying positive developments. We've also made this a bit more complex, a bit more interesting. We've got as a result here. We've got as a result here and here. So we probably want to change that into something better. And we could actually join that into the sentence here. So you can use which means that to give a result in this way, which makes it much more interesting, and also it gives you a complex sentence as well. Now we get to the example here. For instance, we could place that here. It doesn't have to go at the start of the sentence. Just to make it a bit more interesting, we could put it after the subject. We have thus here. Thus is okay because again it's a different word. So as a result, it's giving a result, but we could change it if we wanted to something a bit different. Now we come on to the conclusion. To sum up is okay because we do tend to use phrases like that for conclusions, to sum up, in conclusion. So we'll leave that. We could make this a bit more interesting though. And we can leave therefore, because as I said, we don't have to, having some of the transition signals in initial position is okay. We just want to vary them. Don't make sure we don't have too many. So hopefully what you'll see here is that we've made this a bit more interesting. So it's more likely that the examiner is going to give this a band 7 for coherence and cohesion in terms of the cohesive devices than it is the way it was before with all those transitions in initial position, which is more likely to make the examiner think it could be a band 6. A very important point to remember when you do this is only to write at the level you're actually capable of. So if you're looking for a band 6, then using sort of more discourse markers at initial position is probably okay. Because if you start introducing more complexity, you might start making mistakes. Because the highest skill level is needed to do some of these more complex transitions. So be careful and only do this depending on what band you need. Because most of these phrases also can't be learned as fixed phrases. Because they can vary. Things might vary depending on exactly what you're saying in your sentence, so you do need a bit more skill level to be able to fit them in. So make sure you do practice them, whatever you do. So really it's only best to really start making them more complex if you do need a band 7+. And please remember to visit the website at www.ieltsbuddy.com to get some more excellent tips and strategies for getting a high score in the IELTS test.